welcome back to Lessons Learned. I'm Sherry, and today we're going to talk about a quilt kit that has been put together by the Fabric Hut. They are using some beautiful fabrics that they sell in their shop, and they have pre-cut all of these fabrics to be able to put this quilt together. This is the pattern that they're using. It's called the Iris quilt. However, with the selection of fabrics that they have picked out for it, the kit is called the Floral Harmony kit. So you get the pattern, the fabric already pre-cut, and a backing in the kit. So you can skip the part of the pattern that talks about the cutting and go directly to the particular size that you have chosen and start on the directions from there. It's very simple. It's basically just this page, and then you have a layout page for when you put your rows together. And then eventually you'll be trimming the pattern down and or trimming the quilt down along the edges and adding some setting pieces along the side. So you can kind of see how that would be from the photo on the front of the pattern. So it's a very beautiful quilt, and it looks like they've tried to duplicate somewhat some of the same color scheme that's on the pattern itself. So next I will be taking you over to the sewing machine and showing you how this goes together. We have all these nice pieces already cut to the width and length they need to be. So now we just need to know how to sew them up. So first we want to check the box at the top of page 3. This particular quilt kit is a lap size, so I'm looking at the table here, and the lap size calls for 21 sets of 2 strips, 14 sets of 5, 8 sets of 7, and 6 sets of 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to do pairs, just varying the fabrics. They're all the same print, but they're all different colors. So we want to vary our color range on these strip sets. So we'll have some that have 2, some that have 5, some that have 7, and some that have 9. So the first step in the sewing would be making pairs. And then we want to make sure we have enough left over that we'll be able to add that extra odd piece on the end of these strip sets. So I have my strip sets in 2 piles, and I'm just going to grab one from each pile, making sure they're different colors, and then run my 1/4 inch seam allowance down the long side. I will continue to do that until I have the total number that I need for my lap size quilt. I need 21 of the 2, 14 of the 5, 8 of the 7, and 6 of the 9. So I'm going to take some time here to go ahead and do my pairs. The sewing is done, and I have my individual stacks here, and then my single pieces that I need to add. And then I also need to sew my pairs together, but the math came out with 1 extra pair. So I knew there was going to be a little bit of extra, so I'm going to go ahead and sew the pairs together for these 3 stacks. These will just be pairs as they are, and then I will add those single pieces on to the pairs according to the table. So next I need to actually iron these, and you can iron them to one side or the other, or open them. It's not going to make any difference. Now all of the strip blocks, all the different sizes of the strip blocks are finished. They are put together, they're sewn together, and now you can probably imagine what needs to happen next. Thankfully we have these already cut to size sashing strips that we're going to put on each side of our strip blocks. So as an example here, I have the smaller ones. I'm just going to take one of those white squares and put it on the right side and one on the left side, and I'll keep doing that until I get through this pile, and then I'll move on to the next one, the next one, and the next one. Our strip sets have their sashing on both sides, and now we need to start trying to form our rows. This is a little bit different than just putting blocks together side by side and then attaching rows together. It's a little bit more like an on point, but a little bit different yet from that. However, I'm going to show you here in the illustration, and hopefully you can focus in on this, especially the little dark squares that you see here. Starting at the top, you have 2. So I'm going to take one of my 2 strip set blocks and put a purple square on each side, and that's these squares that were provided and already cut to size. And then as you go down, you're going to do 4 of the squares with 3 of your 2 strip set. And then as you go down, actually I should be pointing at this one here. As you go down, you start with 2, 4, 6, and then it jumps to 7, 5, 3. And then eventually later on you'll add that last square at the bottom here. So that's the step that I'm going to do at this moment. I have my rows of sets of 2 blocks all put together according to the layout. And what I have left to deal with are my blocks that are strip sets of 5, 7, and 9. So now we're going to have to pay attention again to the illustration to see where those go. So it starts you off here with 2, I believe those are 7s, and then you have a 5. So you'll have 2 7s like this, and then your 5, and you can see how that fits just right in there. So just pay careful attention to the illustration as you go down for each of your rows, but you will have one going one way and one going the opposite way, and then rotating from there, alternating from there. Alright, let's get sewing. The rows have been sewn together, and now I have taken my diagram and I've actually numbered it. I did this in pencil. I don't know that you can see it, but over here I numbered each row from top to bottom. And then these check marks over here are as I was sewing the blocks together to get my rows. So I was checking those off to make sure that I was using the blocks in the right way, in the right order, and then move on to the next row. I have taken some magic pens that are numbered, and I have numbered each of these rows 1 through 14, and I put the pen in the upper left hand corner 1 through 14. So that's how I have these stacked, and then I'm going to carefully start attaching my rows. Now what's very unconventional about this pattern is you're not going to attach rows from the left hand edge and straight across like you would a square quilt, a rectangular quilt. This is a rectangular quilt, but this is actually what it is. So we're going to start with this number 1 block here, and then place it in the middle of our number 2 row. And then you can see also when you start to add your number 3 row, you're going to have some sticking out on each side. And then finally when you get out to this last one on the would be number 14, he's just going to be hanging there in the middle of that row. You just sew it right in the middle of the row. So just watch your diagram really, really carefully, and if you don't have these numbered pens, you can certainly use regular pens and make some little post-it notes or little scraps of paper, whatever you need to do to make sure you keep your rows in order. Otherwise, they won't fit together. Now, once this is all together, as I had mentioned before, we're going to be trimming this off straight all the way around. So it's very important that you get these rows in the position that the diagram is showing. Before this next step, you want to make 100% sure you have everything placed in the right position according to the diagram, because we're going to make some very generous cuts here on the edges of this quilt to get it square. So take the longest ruler that you have. I happen to have a 36-inch ruler here, and I'm going to just lay it right even with the corners of these purple triangles. So you want the corner of the triangle to be right on the edge. And then here is the smallest, the number 14 row, if you will, one here. And then I'm just going to make that cut. So essentially you're leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the edge of your quilt because we will be adding a binding to this. So I can either go from the other end or I can continue here as I was going. And then we'll do that same thing on all of the other sides of our quilt. So I'll go ahead and show you here. You can't see a whole lot of what I'm doing here, but just line up your corners of your triangles, your purple triangles, and make that cut. I'll go ahead and pull this away so you can see how that works. Just like this. And so you need to do this kind of an angle all the way around your quilt, and then you'll have a rectangle. Again, this is the Floral Harmony kit from the Fabric Hut. There is a link in the description box of this video on how you can receive one of these quilts. You can order one, and it's using the pattern the Iris Quilt by Kitchen Table Quilting. This quilt finishes at 59 by 69. It's a lap size, but you can also get it in a baby and a twin size. So this pre-cut quilt kit went together very nicely and accurately, and it's a quick way to put together a quilt top in a weekend. Very easy, very beautiful fabrics. So get yourself one of these kits. There's several others you can choose from as well. And then anyone who makes a comment on this video will be in a drawing for a free quilt kit of this exact one here. It does come with backing and binding in the purple shade. USA only for this drawing. Alright, thank you. See you soon.
All